Thank you for joining us for this month's virtual Curators Tour. I'm Jenna Gilley, Associate Curator of Exhibitions at the Fort Wayne Museum of Art, and I'll be your guide today. We will be looking at the exhibitions comprising our new glass wing, which include Broad Spectrum, Clear Vision, the collection of Carl and Stephanie Belling, and Heating Up, new glass acquisitions. After the closing of these shows, these three galleries will continue to host our growing collection of contemporary studio glass. To begin, we'll start with the selections from the collection of Carl and Stephanie Belling. The process of getting this gift began just over a year ago. The museum had recently just acquired the Fendel-Rosenbach glass collection, and I was gathering information from the artists in the collection to fill out their object records. There was one name I couldn't find much information on, and that was Carl Belling. After some digging, I found the information for his widow, Stephanie, and sent her a letter with a picture of Carl's piece. She was thrilled and called me back at once. That was the beginning of a relationship that, along with our director Charles Shepard's unmatched enthusiasm for glass, would spur another astounding donation just a few months later. After a visit to Stephanie's home, many calls, lots of paperwork, and a careful extraction process, over 180 immaculate glass sculptures arrived at the Fort Wayne Museum of Art. This generous gift doubles the size and scope of our glass collection, sending a strong message to collectors around the country about the importance of this medium to our museum and the region. Glass is a proven favorite of our community, exemplified by the fact that the museum's glass exhibitions draw more visitors annually than any other. This stirring exhibition celebrates the couple's shared love of glass sculpture, the outstanding diversity of glass artists, Carl's personal commitment to creating art in glass, and their dedication to sharing their passion with the public. This grouping of objects was actually made by Carl Belling. Carl was born in Kopparberg, Sweden in 1927. He came to the United States in 1962 after receiving his medical degree. A successful endocrinologist for over 40 years, he completed important research on helping diabetic women birth healthy babies and worked at New York Hospital before discovering a passion for glass. Marveling at the Swedish contemporary glass and collecting glass for almost 10 years, it was not until 1991 that Belling began glassworking at Urban Glass in Brooklyn. He sold over a dozen pieces through the prominent Kent Holstein Gallery, now Shantz Gallery, in New York before passing away prematurely from a brain aneurysm in 1999. His wife Stephanie says that he was most excited by the challenging nature of glass, particularly sand casting. Succeeding in new glass experiments, such as encasing different metals in glass and pushing the boundaries of the medium, brought him great joy. Here in this untitled piece, we can see several of the elements and symbols that Carl was drawn to. This piece was made using the sand cast method, where the shape of the sculpture is carved out in a bed of sand before hot glass is poured in to fill the mold. Colored sand and objects, often called inclusions, can be added to give the piece interest and depth. We see two copper inclusions here, one a diving man and the other a non-distinct animal floating above two doors and separated by a window. While they may appear simple, adding metal into hot glass is extremely difficult, as the metal can actually melt or react if the chemical properties of both mediums are not taken into account. Stephanie gave a very similar piece like this to the pastor who conducted Carl's funeral. On the work, she said, 7 steps to the top. 7 is a biblical number of perfection. 2 large doors close to the earth, easy to pass through. 1 narrower door that leads to the great expand. Even the bubbles are rising to the top. These implications of earth and the beyond are present in much of Carl's work, which often feature houses, doors, windows, and joyous figures. Carl and Stephanie Belling began collecting glass in Sweden, Carl's home country, which has a prominent glass history. Because of this, the first gallery in the exhibition is dedicated to the couple's large collection of Swedish glass. Here we see one of such examples, titled Aerial Number 453-E8 by Swedish glass designer Ingeborg Lundin. This vessel, in addition to its rich, unusual chartreuse color, features several distinct Swedish glass techniques, including the Graal and Aerial techniques. First developed in 1916, The Graal or Grail technique, as in the Holy Grail, is the process of creating images on a glass bubble. Layers of colored glass are built up, sandblasted through, and encased in clear glass to create intricate designs. Here you can see how the light green faces seem encapsulated in clear glass, especially looking at how the bottom seems to float on a clear base. This method was a groundbreaking way to add images of painting-like quality into glass pieces. In the aerial technique, air bubbles are strategically trapped in the recesses of the design when encased in the blank and remain in the final product, creating the signature aerial look. In this example, note how fine strands of air bubbles have been skillfully trapped by the artist to replace the contours of each face. This technique adds another layer of texture to the glass and uniquely captures the moment the piece was formed. The next room of the exhibition focuses on how the Belling's interest in glass collecting eventually expanded beyond Swedish glass. 15 different nationalities of artists are represented in this room, many acquired through the couple's travels. This piece is by Polish artist Marta Klonowska, entitled The Tailor. Her works begin with a wire understructure. Sharp shards of glass are then carefully adhered using an epoxy to create a glittering fur effect. Klonowska enjoys transforming the animals, especially dogs, of historic paintings from 2 dimensions to 3 dimensions. Therefore, she always provides a printed version of the original reference to be displayed along with the piece, usually in a matching monochromatic color. Here, Klonowska references Pietro Longhi's 1741 Italian Rococo painting, The Tailor. The little dog being played with by its young mistress has been recreated in glittering ruby shards and has been given a matching shoe at Stephanie's request. The next object comes from closer to home, and that is Raven Stealing the Stars by Preston Singletary. Singletary has become one of the leading figures of the contemporary glass movement. His work uses designs and ideas from his native Tlingit cultural heritage to transform the notion that native artists are only best when traditional materials are used. Since his start working with glass in 1982, Singletary has made teaching and collaborating with other native artists a top priority. Raven Stealing the Stars is an important piece from the artist and is one of several works that illustrates the important story of the raven in Tlingit culture. Raven, a trickster or transformer, discovers that a clan leader had in his possession the sun, moon, and stars. Raven assumed human form to steal the objects, bringing light to the world. Realizing that he was the victim of deceit, the clan leader forever marked Raven by holding him in the smoke of the fireplace, altering his color from the white of a spiritual being into the black color he is today. Preston's work elegantly relays this story with his black raven head featuring Pacific Northwest designs in a vibrant red, while a clear circular disc in the raven's opened mouth represents the multitude of stars that he gave to the world. Entering into the final room of the exhibition, the last piece we will be looking at today represents just one of the dozens of new pieces of glass the museum has collected over the past year. Overgrown number 4 is a flame-worked glass piece by the glass couple Katarina Urata Weintraub and David Weintraub. A child stuffed bunny has been formed out of glass in a hyperrealist style, demonstrating the extensive range of the medium. A combined mix of careful sculpting and an impressive knowledge of blending and mixing color in glass lends to this effect. Glass and faux flowers bloom from a slit in the bunny's back, which exposes its stuffing. Katarina has remarked that this series represents the nostalgia and duality of memory. The process of growing up can be both beautiful but wistful. Sometimes we long for the comfort of childhood, but only by leaving the past behind can we grow. This bunny can seem like a sad remnant of the past, or a sweet example of sentiment. Thanks for joining me on this virtual Curators tour. If you would like to see more stellar pieces of contemporary glass, I urge you to check out Broad Spectrum, Clear Vision, the collection of Carl and Stephanie Belling, and Heating Up, new glass acquisitions before they close on October 16th.